card number 132 from the 1953 Bowman Color set. It's Fred Hutchinson. Here he is again from the Detroit Tigers. A manager card from this set. Fred Hutchinson had an interesting transition from 1952 to 1953. It's on the back of the card. Fred was a starting pitcher for the Tigers until the middle of last season when he was appointed manager of the team. Under his management, many changes have been made to the team through trades and players brought up from the minor leagues. That's incredibly vague. Fred pitched 3 innings of the 1951 All-Star game and gave up 3 hits and walked 2. He was with Detroit in the 1940 World Series and pitched 1 inning. And it doesn't say this on the back of the card, but every time I see this, I think that Fred Hutchinson bears a striking resemblance to Humphrey Bogart. So I always think of Bogey when I look at this card. If it is card number 132, it must be session 132 of the Nada Show Card Room Live. This is a hangout for fellow vintage collectors. Whether we have guests or not, we are always wasting time looking at and talking about cardboard, and we always try to make it time well wasted. If you're here with us live, welcome to you. Welcome to my fellow YouTubers and to the folks from all over social media land. If you are listening to this later, you might be going to or coming home from work, maybe sorting cards, maybe looking at eBay, maybe walking the dog, or sitting on the john, perhaps rolling out meatballs, putting those kids to bed. Maybe you're wondering if Eddie Wakis will come up tonight. It's possible. You never know. You might be wondering if there's going to be some Mike Foolery. I can guarantee you, I can 100% guarantee you that that will happen tonight. If you want to get in touch or you have ideas for future sessions, you can email me at bowman53channel@gmail.com. You can also find me on Instagram, bowman53_Alex, on X 1953 Bowman Color, on Blue Sky, Bowman53, and of course, all that information can be found in the description below. This session of Card Room Live is brought to you by Red Heart Dog Food. Red Heart Dog Food, with the spokesman Stan the Man, he says you should feed your dog Red Heart, the big league of dog food. It's available in beef, liver, and fish flavors. Your dog is sure to love it. And as Mookie likes to say, choosy dogs choose Card Room Live, and they choose Red Heart Dog Food. Let's do a quick roll call, and I'm going to try to do this as quickly as I can. We have a couple wrench holders. Jacob is here. Carlisle is here. Rocket Rick, J18 Sports Cards is here. And Mr. Baseball Time Traveler is here. Peter B with the breaking news about Rafael Devers. Peacemaker Cards is here. Mitchell, White Sox fan card collector, is here. Happy Father's Day to everybody. Jay Hawker is here. Reese Andy Card Ranger is here. Cold Shot Cards. Rick Acosta, Dodger card collector. Ruben Snyder. Mr. Maxa Jackson. David Roland going for his 2nd week, so somehow we didn't scare David away. We're going to try harder this time, David. Chris from Missouri is here. Warren D in the CLE is here. Mr. Orlando, A Collector's Dream, is here. Lonely Basement Baseball Cards is here. David Bustle, Baseball Card Philosophy, is here. Larry is here. God is Great is here. It's been a while. Hope you are doing well. Eddie's Cardboard Chaos is here all the way from the other side of this country of ours. Let's see who else is in here. I had a lot of chatter now. That vintage big cardboard smell. I like your name. I like your channel. Are you active? If you're not, you've got a good start with a good channel name. A's Fan Jim is here. We got a good group. You might have noticed I mentioned this a couple times, and I mentioned it in the little reminder that I posted today that we're going to talk about memorabilia, mostly focusing on magazines and maybe programs. And I just pulled one magazine and one program, and then I'm going to be quiet because we got 3 guests that are waiting to come in. This is from 1953. It is the baseball yearbook published by True, the man's magazine. I just want to show this to you guys. And I did a whole video about this a number of years ago. The reason I wanted to get this is because if you look at these photographs, these are definitely photographs taken by the same photographers who shot the 1953 Bowman color set. And you can see these images are sort of alternate versions of cards from that set. So that's the reason I decided to pick this up. But of course, it's also really cool to look through and see what was going on in the 53 season. And I also have a scorecard here. This is also from 1953. This was gifted to me by a legendary YouTuber, Mark from Stove Sports, Hall of Famer, YouTube Hall of Famer. Mark gifted this to me a number of years ago, 1953. This is actually from September 2nd of 1953, and somebody actually kept score. This was actually used. It's a Phillies and Cardinals game. And I was looking at it just before we started. It looks like Ashburn had a double and a triple in that game. I didn't really look through the rest of it. Musial, looks like Musial hit a home run maybe in that game. So these are fun pieces to collect. Some people solely collect this kind of stuff. Others of us maybe kind of dabble in it. And I thought this would be a fun topic. I've been trying to get a group together for a while. We've been talking about it. So let's get these guys in here. I promised you guys some Mike Foolery. So here it is in the flesh. There he is. Ready to mess around. Mike, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. How you doing, Alex?
I'm good. I'm good. Good to have you here. And often helping us with the tailgating on Cardroom Live, Mr. Stuke, Baseball Magazines and Curiosity. Stuke, how are you?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Yeah. These are two guys that I definitely think of when I think of memorabilia that kind of goes with your card collecting. And I'm also happy to welcome a new guest of Cardroom Live. First time on Cardroom Live. This is somebody that is not on YouTube, but is definitely on Instagram. And here he is, Kurt.
Guys,
Kurt, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Yeah. Kurt's handle on Instagram, those of you guys that have Instagram, is Killebrew Collector 3.
That's correct.
And real quick, Kurt, since you're new to this, can you give everybody kind of a sense of your background in terms of like your hobby life, your collecting? Like what kind of stuff are you focused on?
I think from early days, I've always surrounded myself with baseball items, mostly baseball books, but have gotten more serious into cards for the past year and a half, I'd say. And I've been trying to up my game a little bit when it comes to magazines and programs. So I'm going to try my best to keep up with these guys tonight, but we'll see how it goes. Yeah,
okay.
I was born in 1975, so I'm a kid of the 80s. So, I turned 12 in 87, and, Don Mattingly and George Bell and Kirby Puckett were, at the height of their popularity. So those are some of my my early guys that I like to follow. And we might see a little bit of that tonight as well. And I'm from Canada, so I'm going to have just one hockey item, but that's going to be about it.
Okay, great. Yeah, so again, anybody that does have Instagram, you should look up Kurt on Instagram, Killebrew Collector 3. That's how I found Kurt, and Kurt has been very supportive of Cardroom Live, so I'm glad to finally get him on here. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of go around the horn, guys. We're going to kind of play this loose and just let you guys take the show, take the floor. Kurt, since you're new, we'll start with you. Guests first.
Okay.
Anything you want to share?
I'll be quick this first round, guys, because I know we've got a lot to get to. But let's go with a commemorative souvenir program from an old timers game in Brandon, Manitoba. That's where I was born and raised. Some of you hockey fans might recognize the Brandon Wheat Kings. Well, this wasn't the Wheat Kings. It was an old timers game put on by the Winnipeg Jets, circa, I'd say 1984, 85 maybe. There's two of the greatest hockey players of all time. Bobby Hull and Gordie Howe signed on the same program. And there's Don Cherry, the legendary coach of the Boston Bruins. Most Canadians know him as a legendary sports commentator on Hockey Night in Canada. Don Cherry, Grapes is his nickname. But that's my only hockey program for tonight. And we'll go quickly into baseball, starting with maybe a Sporting Life.
Oh, good.
Oh, wow.
Larry Doby.
Yeah.
That's from 1951. I don't have Larry Doby's 1951 Bowman card, but I do have his 54.
Oh, nice.
So,
Great.
Nice.
a couple of Doby items there, too, to get us started on Card Room Live.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
And I think maybe Scott's in the chat, so I better.
Oh, there you go. Nice. Yeah.
Now we're talking.
All right. Great. Stoop, let's go to you.
Okay, well, I did mention this item in one of my recent videos. Asked people to guess what it is. I saw it at an antique mall and I go, that looks like a card, team issue card or something. I haven't seen it before. Then I read the back. It talks about the Texas Sports Hall of Fame. And I opened it up, and it's a program for the inaugural Texas Sports Hall of Fame. And Tris Speaker was the inaugural inductee in the Texas Sports Hall of Fame. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Awesome.
So that answers that question. And another program that I carry around that it's from, I've shown this before, but it's from the 1983 American Legion World Series. And being it was in Fargo, there were several people, Fargo related. Roger Maris signed it right there. And they had Bowie Kuhn come into town, Bobby Richardson, Moose Skowron, and Gary Gaetti was one of the guests at the banquet. So that's something that I got in person, and it's signed. I got it signed in person. And one more thing for Kurt. Here's a 1961 Twins inaugural season program.
Right on.
And you can see it's got all the states nearby: North Dakota, Nebraska, South Dakota, Iowa, Wisconsin,
Nice.
even Illinois. So
Twins territory.
yeah, and it has Canada. It doesn't have Ontario and Manitoba split on the top there, but those are always nice programs to have around here.
Right.
And it's scored, and it's against the Cleveland Indians.
Haha.
There you go, Scott. And Warren. And there's nothing really special happened in that game, but that's what I have to start out with.
The Twins logo of those two guys shaking hands, it's like one of my favorite of all time.
Minnie and Paul.
Yeah. So great. Okay, Mike, you're up.
Okay, well, I'm going to start with a newer magazine, well, semi-new, I guess, from Sports Illustrated 1977 World Series. I wanted to start with this one because it kind of epitomizes why I like to collect magazines. So, first of all, I like to collect signed magazines. That's first of all. Second of all, it's signed by Bill Russell, who I had the pleasure of meeting like before his spring training or his rookie season. He was at a kind of a coaching thing, and so I got to meet him, and they were real high on him. But on this magazine, you can see that it's just such a great photo. For one, you got Bill Russell at short jumping over Thurman Munson to make the double play. But what even makes it better, and I just found this out maybe a couple weeks ago, there is an article that I never read in here. and it's about rugby, and it prominently features our own Rob the time baseball time traveler, and it's just one of the many reasons why I like to collect magazines, because you start reading them. Sometimes you get the magazine and you don't, look through it a lot, or you just skim through it. But then later on, you find some gems in here, whether it be a story about one of your favorite players or someone wrote into, the magazine, and you know them or know of them. So it's really kind of cool when you find this kind of stuff out. So this has definitely jumped to one of the top favorites on my list.
So Mike, I have to ask, did you talk to Rob about this already?
He made a video and he mentioned that, and I thought, I have that magazine.
Oh, okay. That's
Of course,
fantastic.
we were on a live stream together too, and I asked him about it as well. So,
Okay. Wow. That's amazing. Okay, Kurt, we're back to you.
All right. So my dad was born in 1948, and so he was maybe not old enough to purchase this magazine that came out in 1949. I did some foreshadowing of this magazine on the Instagram account this week, showing headshots of Stan the Man, Teddy Ballgame, and Joltin' Joe.
Yes.
One of the reasons that I bought this, I didn't know the articles that would be inside, but I figured that they would probably have a photo of the 1948 World Series champion Cleveland Indians, and they sure do, right on the inside cover. But they list them, I don't know if you guys can see it, as the 1949 world champions, which is a typo, of course. But you could see Larry Doby's in the back row, Satchel Paige is in the middle, Bill Veeck in the front row with Lou Boudreau, and I think Bob Feller is beside old Satch. And so that's the 1949 complete baseball. Brings to mind a book.
Oh, yes.
By Luke Eplin. Great book. You want to know anything about Cleveland baseball at that time, this is the book to have, most definitely. I'll maybe go to June of 1950 now, another Sport Life and Jackie Robinson. This
Beautiful.
is from June of 1950. And with this magazine, I'll also recommend, I'm going off topic here, this particular book, Opening Day, by Jonathan Eig. I know, Alex, you have read The Luckiest Man. And,
yes, and I learned about this book soon after, and I've got it in my queue, but I haven't picked it up yet.
Right on. It's a must. And from 1967, Willie Mays smiling always makes me smile. And
yes.
So I've got this at a card shop in Winnipeg, Manitoba. That's our provincial capital, about 3.5 hour drive from where I live in the southwest corner of Manitoba. And there's a stadium club card of Willie.
Awesome. Great.
And
all right. Scott, on to you.
I have a Nashville Volunteers program.
Oh,
and this
cool.
ties into the 1953 Bowman card that started off the show. And it's Nashville Volunteers against the parent club, the Detroit Tigers. And if you notice on the side there, signed by Hal Newhouser, Dizzy Trout, and Dick Wakefield, but Hutchinson is one of the pitchers on the Tigers.
Great. Awesome.
And then bring Scott and Cleveland back in. Here's a Cleveland farm team, the Fargo Moorhead Twins. That's 1953. And that has Roger Maris fresh out of high school playing for the Fargo Moorhead Twins. And it's scored. And he's the fifth batter. Frank Gravino that year hit over 50 home runs for the Fargo Moorhead Twins, and Roger hit 9. So he was familiar with home runs. And I have to tie in with Kurt. Here's a 1952 sport magazine
Oh
with
yeah.
Jackie and Pee Wee.
The beauty.
And one of the awesome things about the sport magazines is the color photos inside.
Yeah, look at that.
Oh, Monty Irvin.
I mean, it would be terrible to ruin the magazine, of course, but that would be something nice to take out and frame. That's a beautiful image.
Yeah. And those magazines are full of all kinds of great color photos like that.
Right.
Just so many.
Oh, nice.
Awesome.
Signed. Great. All right, Mike. It's not lost on me that you lost your Mike Foolery hat, but it's all good.
I'm just kissing up to the host here with matching hats.
Right.
and this isn't my crummy hat either.
That's
this
right.
Is a new hat.
It looks like brand spanking new.
I tell you. So I picked this one up. First of all, I was going to say that Sport Life isn't a very common magazine, but Kurt just showed a couple of them. So what do I know? Anyway, this isn't a super easy magazine to find signed. And I'm showing this more for the story than for the magazine itself, although I really, really like this magazine. And you can see it's a really beautiful signature on there.
Yes.
I've been looking for this for like 15 years, and I just got it maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. Like 15 years ago, I found it on eBay, but the seller wanted like 5-6 times what it was worth. So tried to negotiate with him, no good. Over the course of the next several years, I'd send him a message every once in a while. No, not budging, not budging. So I stopped looking and was looking for other stuff. And I think this even got out of my link somehow, so I wasn't even thinking about it. I'm sitting on my porch in the evening, and my buddy calls me, and we're just talking, collecting, and we started talking about dealers that just thought their stuff was worth way too much, and I thought of this guy.
Yeah.
And so I was telling him about it. He goes, "Oh, that doesn't sound like a familiar magazine. Do you have like a link I could look at?" So I said, "I don't think I got the link, but let me look it up real quick on my phone." So I go to look, and the magazine pops up, and a second one pops up, which is this one. A nicer condition, nicer autograph, and he wants less than the price that I was willing to pay. So I pushed the button about as quick as I could. But the funny thing is, if we weren't just talking out of the blue and came up with that subject, I would never have looked.
Right.
And it probably would have got sold, and I might not have. Well, I may have ended up going back and paying what the guy wanted later on, but I may have never found it. So it's just weird how in collecting things just, fall into your lap.
That magazine was trying to get into your collection.
And it succeeded in 1951 Sport Life.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's a great story too. All right. What are we? Back to Kurt.
All right. I've got a 1959 San Francisco Giants program for 20 cents. Now batting for your Giants, Rafael Devers.
That's right.
It's interesting. I guess this is when the Giants are still playing at Seal Stadium at this point, because Candlestick isn't open yet, I don't think. And when I purchased this program, I thought that this mark right here was dirt or a cloud of dust, but it's actually the individual's thumbprint who held on to the program at the ball game in 1959, and you can actually see the thumbprint right on the magazine. So that's from the Giants. Also have Who's Who in the Big Leagues from 1956, Roy Campanella.
Nice.
Campy in 1956 caught 2 no-hitters. Carl Erskine was in May, and I believe Magley was in September. And this is one of my favorite images of Campy, and I don't know why. I just love his hands up high. I like the fact that both he and the crowd are somewhat out of focus, and I just think it works in this particular magazine.
Yeah.
So there's Campy. And this is for Chris from Missouri. 3,000 hits for George Brett, commemorative souvenir program from 1992. And we have family in Kansas City, and so this was a gift from my aunt's, one of her best friends who actually worked with the ball club. And I also got 2 of these team issued cards with tab. It's Phillips 66, and for Mookie, there's a pinhole, of course, in the tab, but the pinhole is from the commemorative pin that came with the card. So I have that one, and also George Brett, 3-time batting champion, team issue, with tab, with hole, with pin. And then
Amazing.
last one, just there's a guy that knows a thing or two about pitching,
Yes.
the great Warren Spahn. And when I purchased this one, there is a bit of a line that runs down through his cap and through his eye and through his ear, but you can't really see it, and it's okay with me. It's the only picture I like or that I have of Warren Spahn on a magazine, so I thought I'm going for it.
Yeah.
So there's the great Spahn and Sane. Pray for rain.
That's right. Yeah, you cannot see that crease. It's a great image. All right, Stuke.
During World War II, a lot of programs had patriotic covers, and here's a Nashville Volunteers. Shows Uncle Sam on the cover.
Oh, nice.
The flag on the bottom, and somewhere they're mentioning to buy war bonds, support your soldiers, and so on.
Right.
And then I have a complete baseball magazine with 2 nice photos of Stan Musial on them, batting stance, and a big portrait.
I've always thought that captures Stan's batting stance.
Yeah.
What year is that?
I was just looking. 1953.
Okay, good year.
And then I also have a Time magazine
Oh, nice.
with Mel Ott on it from 1945.
Real nice.
You don't hear a lot about Mel Ott anymore. He used to be more prevalent in the hobby, but so many people have hit 500 home runs. I mean, it was great that he did it, but somewhere people are kind of forgetting his memory or whatever. But
Right.
great player, had a great batting stance where he'd lift his leg, kind of like Stan Musial, and get a little power into it.
You know, a lot of the I'm thinking now that Time magazine had a lot of really great baseball covers over the years, but like in that sweet spot, I would think somewhere in the 30s into the 50s, there's some beautiful artwork. That would be kind of fun to see all those lined up. Mike.
Well, let's go with this one. It's funny, I had not collected any magazines for probably the last year or so, and then I just picked up 2 recently. So that the one I showed last, and this one popped up I had never seen before, but it's actually a comic book from 1950 featuring Don Newcombe.
All right.
Nice.
With a real nice signature there. From Fawcett Publications. I guess they had a series. I don't know how they selected all the players that were in them or how many there were, but I know Don Newcombe was obviously one. Jackie was another one. Campanella was another one. I'm pretty sure Rizzuto from the Yankees was, and Ralph Kiner of Pirates at that time. So I'm not sure about anybody else, but there were other comics that were baseball related as well. But I saw this and I just had to have it.
That's great, and it's that sort of delivery shot of him is not one you see that often.
No.
It's great. All right, Kurt, we're back to you.
Okay. Stuke, you'll like this one. So here's from Camera Day at Metropolitan Stadium in Bloomington, 1980. On the back is Mando Photo Finishing is the sponsor. But on the inside, they show a picture of the 1980 Minnesota Twins and then you can place your 3 favorite Twins photos that you captured on camera day. Just remove the double-sided tape and press them in. You've got a little souvenir of your day at the ballpark. So that's from
That's great.
1980. And of course, the wonderful Twins script there. 1966 program featuring the Minnesota Twins. Of course, Twins went to the World Series and got defeated by Sandy Koufax. I won't say the Dodgers, I'll just say Koufax. And I always like this one, Sam Mealy. I believe that's Zoilo Versalles beside Mealy. And I've always liked this one, showing the pennants blowing in the breeze, and just the colors and the fellas. And I always like, too, when they show you what the program was worth, 25 cents.
That's right.
Won't get you much today. And then just real quick, Minnesota Twins, the 1982 official program, the first year the Twins played in the Metrodome. Got the nice script again. Just wanted to say happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there watching on Card Room Live tonight. Also wanted to say to Orlando, we're thinking about Orlando, and hope you're doing well, my friend.
Yeah, appreciate that. And it's always good to see Orlando back at it online and in the chats and on the live streams. Okay, Stuke.
Here's a magazine that you don't hear a lot about, Ebony Magazine.
Right.
Here's 1972 with Willie Mays and his new wife. And inside there's pictures of their honeymoon in Acapulco.
Nice.
And there's some great advertising in those magazines too. There's like Satchel Paige for Coca-Cola and things like that. And here's a 1955 with Willie Mays, Leo, and his wife.
That's great.
It's just magazines you don't see very often. And then this last one, I'm going to go back in time a little bit.
Wow.
1889.
A little bit.
And there's an article in there about Ellen Roosevelt. And in 1890, she won the U.S. Women's Tennis Open. And she's a niece of Teddy Roosevelt. So that was kind of interesting. Some of them old magazines, you know, they don't look like they'll have a sports article or anything in there, but if you page through them, you find some interesting stories.
Yeah, you got to look through the magazines, right, guys? It's not just about the cover. Sometimes it is just about the cover, but it's fun to look through them. Here's an interesting comment from Mookie. Shocked me with the Camden this year and found out that they no longer sell programs. Is that kind of the case across the game?
Hitting.
Or is anybody still selling programs? Seems a shame if that's the case.
I think at maybe Stuke, you can back me up on this, but at Target Field, they still have like kind of like a game day program that you can pick up for free. That's what I remember.
A lot of places do that now. They'll have a free, like a scorecard so you can see the rosters. That's about it nowadays, but it's free.
Right. At least there's something.
But your ticket isn't.
That's for sure. All right, Mike.
I got a double one here. They're complementary to each other. This is a Yankees 1958 yearbook, and I got it signed by 9 players.
Wow, yes, you did.
I actually purchased it with, I think it was 2 players on there, but it added like Berra and Ford, and there was a private signing with several Yankees that just happened to be on the 58 team as well as the 61 team. So I got them to sign this one. I don't have a lot of yearbooks, but I've got a couple of nice ones.
Yeah.
And
That's
then
incredible.
to go along with this, I have Spring Training 1958 Sports Illustrated.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know if you can see that. Let's see what we got. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 signatures, including Berra, Andy Carey, Gil McDougald, Enos Slaughter. And I think that was it.
That's great.
But I like magazines that have multiple players on it like that when you can get several signatures. I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah, was that one that you actually had? Was it signed already, or did you?
It
go
was
around
signed by 2 of the 4, and I got the other 2.
and
And the other ones in the picture are like Elston Howard. He had already passed away, and I don't think they had it listed who everybody was, and I couldn't make them out. But you could definitely make out the other ones. So
Right. No, that's great. It's kind of fun trying to figure out who's who.
and as you can probably tell, ones I really well I just do several, but ones I like to go ahead and frame and put on the wall as well.
Sure.
But I'm running out of wall space.
Yeah, that's always the issue with this stuff.
Oh yeah.
All right. Back to Kurt.
All right. We'll feature Kirby Puckett. Here's one of those commemorative or official publications of the Minnesota Twins. Puckett died in 2006. That was the year of this issue. In my card collection, some of the cards that I collect, in an attempt to sort of streamline the collection, I'll only collect Kirby Puckett if he's wearing a red hat or a red helmet. Like there. I pulled that card to show alongside this particular magazine. Also have a 1965 yearbook from the Twins. And notice the price goes up by 25 cents when it goes from
Yes.
program to a yearbook. So 50 cents there. And a special year for the Twins in 65. Also have a 1979 official program and scorecard for the Twins, 75 cents. So you see inflation is now coming into effect. All of the logos from the teams in the American League. So this one displays nicely. You can see the American League logo in the middle.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Lots of fun there.
It's a great comment from Jacob. He's been interested in getting into this kind of stuff, so he's getting something out of that. So Jacob, glad to hear it. It's fun because you can just collect this kind of stuff if you want, but you can also, whether it's magazines or programs or whatever it might be, they can sort of complement other parts of your collection too, right? And it becomes part of your display. It becomes part of just how you approach putting your PC together. Like Mike and Stu, I know you guys in particular are also pretty heavy into cards. Like, is there a connection for you guys in between like magazines and programs and card collecting, or is there some kind of like way that you guys approach it?
Well, for me, most of the magazines I collect anymore kind of are complementary to my whichever teams. Like the 55 Dodgers. So I collect any magazine that has a member of that team, whatever year it is, but as long as it's playing days. In the same way with the 60 Pirates, most any championship Yankees. Those are what I'm looking for in magazines for the most part. And then, if you can add some cards to kind of complement that and autographs and stuff, I try to kind of tie it all together if I can. Not always easy to do, but.
Yeah, it's pretty much the local teams I like, and things that complement. Like I have this, it's a participation trophy from Kirby Puckett's 8-ball tournament. He had a tournament for several years where he'd invite like Ken Griffey, Cal Ripken, some pretty big name players were there at Mall of America, and they'd have a pool tournament. And I found this at a baseball card shop, and the price seemed right, so I picked it up. It's got Kirby's 8-ball tournament on it, and I thought that was pretty cool. So now it's on my shelf here, and I look at it every day.
Awesome. I'm forgetting where we left off.
Kurt,
I think Kurt's up.
Was it Kurt? Okay, Kurt, you're on.
I'm up again. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay. Thought I'd do a bit of a very brief Joe Mauer run. Maybe our first baseball digest of the evening.
Oh yeah.
Joe Mauer, Hall of Famer. I also have a ticket stub from 2009 featuring Joe Mauer. Of course, Joe Mauer was doing things at that time that really no other catcher had done before, and that's landed him in Cooperstown.
Right.
To have one signed card, that's a upper deck card from Mauer. Mauer scorecards.
Very nice.
Cool.
And I might just end the Mauer run with his Sports Illustrated cover, American Idol.
That's great. Nice.
Nice stuff, Kurt. I actually went to the state basketball tournament and watched Joe Mauer play for Cretin. He's probably one of the best basketball players in the state, along with baseball and football.
And football too.
Yeah.
Where was he? He was gonna maybe go to Florida State, isn't that?
Yep. He was the Gatorade Player of the Year in football and baseball.
Gosh.
For high school. So speaking of basketball, this is a Lakers versus Baltimore program. And this is a program that my mom got when she went to the game back in 1953, 54. And
Stoop, did your mom like to collect as well?
yeah, she did. And you look in the score page there. I hope you can see it. Let's see if I can get that right. There's an autograph of George Mikan and then an autograph of Clyde Levellet. Let's see. There's the George Mikan.
Nice, Mikan.
And there's the Clyde Levellet. So she got those autographs in person in 1954, which I think, pretty cool and something I really like. And the other local item I have, 1959, the Chicago Cardinals were looking for a new home. So they played 2 home games in Minneapolis at Metropolitan Stadium, the future home of the Twins. And this is against the Philadelphia Eagles. One of the 2 home games that the Chicago Cardinals played. And the next year, they ended up moving to St. Louis, becoming the St. Louis Cardinals.
Awesome. And that's some beautiful artwork, too. All right, Mike.
I'm going to try something here. I'm going to move the camera because we're kind of running through the time pretty quickly, and I want to show one of my better pieces. So I can't tell if you can see this well or not.
Looks good.
Oh, yeah. Look at
Focus
that.
is good.
Nice.
This is a 1960 World Series program. I sent this in. They have a big show every year in Pittsburgh. It's now owned by Mainline. And but they have like on the anniversary or anniversary years of the. Let's see if I can get a little closer and get up a little bit. There we go. So this would have been from the 50th anniversary, and I think there's like 16 autographs there. And it could have been 17. There's a player named Dick Barone. He only had 3 at-bats that whole season. Just got called up for a cup of coffee. But he refused to sign anything like team stuff because I think he was embarrassed to be on because he didn't have really anything to do with it.
Right.
And I begged the promoter, please tell him I'll give him X amount of money. I don't care. I just want him to sign it, but he wouldn't. But he signed a 3x5 for me, so that was okay, I guess. And but that's it's such a great program because it has I collect all the autographs of that team and the owner, and the owner was really hard to get. But it made mention of some things in the magazine itself about the fact that Bing Crosby was part owner, which I did not know. So I got
really?
got a Bing Crosby autograph, and Virgil, the Virgil Trucks no hit pitcher. He was like batting practice coach. He would pitch batting practice. So I was like, well, yeah, I'll get him because he's a no hit pitcher. What the heck? So I was able to get extra autographs because it was all related, and it was just because I read it in their program. So I thought it was kind of cool.
That's awesome. I love that because it's, not just a piece that you picked up, but you sort of helped add to it over time with like the realizations that you had about the different people that could be involved. That's really cool.
Yeah, the sad thing is especially on an anniversary type thing where they're all coming together, 10 years difference could be the difference of 6 or 7 autographs. And it was in
Right.
this case, because I have a anniversary bat from the 40-year anniversary, and there was like 21, I think. So that's just the difference right there. And now there's only, I think there's 1 or 2 maybe left.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, you made Don happy, so it's all good. All right, Kurt, back to you.
Okay. So from June of 2015, the Sporting News put out this commemorative magazine with Collins' great shot there of Ty Cobb sliding into second. I've used this magazine just countless times as a reference guide, or I'll see something on TV and it'll remind me of something that I've seen in this magazine that I'll have to have another look. But the backside too is just fantastic as well. So I try to keep this one minty.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah. Just a bit of a modern flair here with the ESPN, the magazine, put out this great magazine on Willie Mays when he passed away. I picked this one up down in Minot, North Dakota. That's probably the closest city to where I live. Some of you who may have family or friends in the United States Air Force might recognize Minot, as they have a large United States Air Force base there. But that's a great shot of Willie Mays.
Yeah.
And speaking of Willie, from October of 1962, Sport Magazine. And again, anytime Willie's smiling, just infectious.
That's a great shot. Awesome. All right, Scott.
Just show a few of my favorite covers.
Yeah, look at that. That's great.
Sportsman of the Year. They also had a great photo inside, but if you look in the corner, one of the stories is Ty Cobb's letters to Barry Laitman, or Latman. I thought that was an interesting article when I read it back in the day. And then I think this is a really nice cover, Eddie Matthews, Inside Baseball.
Great one.
And we got to have our Mickey Mantle sighting.
It's a red heart card.
Yeah.
It's only been 50 minutes for our first Mick.
And, of course, Warren Spahn. A lot of Spahn fans out there.
Yeah, with the leg
starting
kick.
his leg kick.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, Mike.
Let's see. I'll do a couple real quick here. Change the sport for a minute and go to football. This is from '68, from the Super Bowl, with Jerry Kramer signing it. And I really love this photo because the look on Jerry Kramer's face and the look on Vince Lombardi's face is definitely a son and father type look.
Yeah.
Which is what he meant to a lot of the players. And if you ever read 2 good books to read of Jerry Kramer's was Instant Replay, which was his first book, and then Distant Replay, which was a good book about trying to find all the players from those great teams and have a reunion. But that's one of my favorite all-time sports photos. And one more quick one, kind of taking on the Kurt angle here. Got a sport review of let's see if we can say famous from the World Series. Bill Verdon made a great catch there with Roberto Clemente looking on.
Right.
And I got this signed by him. I sent this to him with Sporting News as well, and he'd sent it back, and it was really only a few weeks before he passed away. So it was very nice. And I've also got, so you can a card from the '61 subset. You can see it's very similar.
Yeah.
representative of that.
Oops. Sorry, Stu. I like this comment from Rick. Get off my lawn, vintage oddball cards. I hope these young whippersnappers realize that we lived on sports magazines as kids. That's all we had. Can you guys talk a little bit about that from your experience growing up with no internet? And, what kind of sports magazines were you, even if you didn't, I'm going to guess even you weren't necessarily buying them all the time, but just like even being at the store, right? And kind of flipping through them.
A lot of these that I'm showing were my dad's magazines that I read as a youngster. And one of the highlights of our trip, I mean, we didn't live within 50 miles of a town with a magazine shop. So the highlight of our trip to the city was to go to the local newsstand and buy the new magazine or two off of the shelf,
Right.
and get home and read it. Whether it's basketball, you want to read the recruits, or the upcoming baseball season, or the upcoming NFL. And the sport magazines always had a great story about an all-time great like Christy Mathewson or Jim Thorpe. And that was a great way to learn about sports history.
Right.
We didn't have a lot of magazines in my home. My older brother was forced to read his Playboy, so I mean I was stuck doing that. But our book, we had grocery stores and stuff, and they would have a few magazines. I would get them there. Our bookstore was in a small town, pretty much, Alhambra, California, but it was kind of at the other end of town, so it wasn't as easy for me to get there. And if I got a book and I would read it and I liked the player and I saw that player on the magazine, I'd try to get that if I did see him. So
Right. All right, guys, we're in lightning round mode. Any last magazines or anything you want to share, Kurt?
Yes, I can. I got a few laid out here. So another Mickey Mantle. This is more recent, but just some great photos of the Mick from his early days in Oklahoma to New York City. Great shot in the back there.
nice.
That's
I
great.
picked this one up because I didn't know that they still publish Sports Illustrated for kids, but this is the 2025 preview issue with Ellie De La Cruz on the cover. This one will be for my girls. Maybe they'll save it and show it on Card Room Live 50 years down the road.
There you go.
And then I really wanted to show just this last one. When Ernie Harwell passed away, the Detroit Free Press put out this, it's a fairly sizable booklet, but just packed full of stories and images of the great Harwell. And I literally called the Detroit Free Press, and I had seen maybe online years ago that they had them for sale. And I think the retail price was like $15 US. And I talked to somebody in the sports department, and they just said, don't worry about it. We'll just send you one. And I said, send one. I said, I live in Canada. It's an extra postage. We'll let the paper pay for the postage. So somebody from the sports department sent me this for free. And so I was always appreciative of that.
That's great.
The Los Angeles Daily News and the LA Times did the same thing for when Vinny passed away. They put out these commemorative
Sure. Yeah.
programs or magazines of sorts. We know that photo of Vin, very famous at Dodger Stadium. Okay, lightning round, fellas.
Beautiful.
Okay.
All right. Go ahead.
Here's a scorecard from the Chicago American. They did the Cubs and the White Sox. This is 1955. Cubs versus Braves with Hank Aaron, Ernie Banks. And then another Jackie Pee Wee cover,
Nice.
Sports Stars.
Love that one.
Complete Baseball with Roy Campanella.
He's so happy with all those bats.
And then Complete Baseball with Stan and Ralph and Ted.
That's great.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Okay, Mike.
Take us home, Mike.
I got a quick complimentary one. This was from 1970 when Hank Aaron got his 3,000th hit, and it's got surrounding him were the other 3,000 hit members of the club at that time, all of which had passed away except Stan Musial. So unfortunately, Stan was in about the last year of his life, and his signature is up here. And so used to seeing Stan's signature steady and consistent throughout his life. And
Yeah.
you can see here where he kind of started to get lost in his signature when he signed it. But it's still Stan, and so I'll take it. But the one thing I was thinking about later to do was to put like Willie Mays on there, or some of the later ones. But then, fortunately, since his picture wasn't on there, I think it was the following later in the year actually, he got his 3,000 and got his own cover, so
nice.
got that signed.
That's a great one.
And it wasn't quite a smile, but it's as close as I ever saw of him with a smile.
Nice. Any last one, guys? Yeah, go ahead.
I've got a few quick ones here. There's the nacho and cheese cap or helmet. The Twins. Also got another Sports Illustrated from 1987. Twins World Series champions. Won again in 91. Then the Blue Jays won in 92 and 93. And here's something a bit more modern. This guy has a few dollars in his pocket. That's
yes, he does.
Baseball Digest from this year. Of course, Baseball Digests from my day were more like digests, and now it's a magazine format. Still nice to have a magazine in your fingers once in a while and not read everything online. So I had to have this for the $1 billion man.
That's right.
Yeah. One more nice Coca-Cola ad, Atlanta Crackers from Ponce de Leon Park.
That's where Ernie Harwell used to watch baseball.
Yeah.
Okay, real quick, last one for me. 1971 All-Star Game.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
All-Star Game, Reggie hit the transformer at Tiger Stadium. And I'm still planning, I've been meaning to get Reggie to sign this one. And then here's, to go along with it, here's the ticket from the game.
That's awesome. Great. Tons of great stuff. As Orlando said, can't believe it's already been an hour, guys. And I want to send out a formal apology to Rick, Vintage Oddball Cards, who was really, really championing some Playboy. It didn't happen, Rick, but maybe
Well, we can take off our clothes if you want. I mean,
no, let's not do that. Mike, Steve, and Kurt, thank you both. Thank you, all three of you guys, for jumping on and showing us all your stuff. I'm sure we probably could have gone like another hour, but a good sampling of stuff tonight.
Next time.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll do it again.
Yep.
All right, guys, if you enjoyed this live stream about nothing, give it a thumbs up and head over to For Collectors at 9 p.m. Until next Sunday night, guys, take care. Have a great week.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.